You think silence is weakness. You believe that when someone disrespects you, you must respond immediately, loudly. Defend yourself with words, with explanations, with the frantic energy of someone who needs to prove their worth. That belief is exactly why they keep doing it. That belief is the knife you hand them every single time. You are not being disrespected because you lack power. You are being disrespected because you react like someone who does. Let me tell you something Machiavelli understood 5 centuries ago, something that will make you deeply uncomfortable. The people who command respect never ask for it. They never explain it. They never justify it. They simply withdraw it from those who fail to offer it. And in that withdrawal, they create a void so terrifying that others rush to fill it with submission. This is not about revenge. This is not about anger. This is about understanding that respect is not given because you deserve it. Respect is given because the alternative is unbearable. Right now, as you watch this, someone in your life is testing you. A coworker who interrupts you in meetings. A friend who makes jokes at your expense. A family member who dismisses your boundaries. A romantic partner who forgets your value the moment they feel secure. They are not doing this because they are bad people. They are doing this because you have taught them, through 1,000 small reactions, that your dignity is negotiable. Every time you over-explain yourself, you negotiate. Every time you accept the unacceptable with a nervous laugh, you negotiate. Every time you meet disrespect, with more effort to prove yourself, you are signing a contract that says your worth is conditional. Machiavelli wrote The Prince in 1513, and the world has spent 500 years pretending he was a villain for saying what everyone already knows, but refuses to admit. He understood that power is not maintained through goodness. It is maintained through calculated consequence. When you are kind to everyone regardless of how they treat you, you are not virtuous. You are invisible. When you forgive endlessly, you are not evolved. You are cheap. The market value of your dignity is determined by how easily you surrender it. Think about the last time someone disrespected you. Really think about it. What did you do? You probably tried to talk to them. You explained how their behavior made you feel. You gave them context, background, reasons why what they did was wrong. You appealed to their empathy, their sense of fairness, their better nature. And what happened? Maybe they apologized. Maybe they promised to do better. Maybe they even seemed genuinely remorseful. And then, weeks later, sometimes days later, they did it again. Because your response taught them that disrespect costs nothing. Here is the dark method Machiavelli would recognize instantly. When someone disrespects you, you do not defend. You do not explain. You do not give them the satisfaction of your emotional reaction. You simply remove access. Access to your time. Access to your energy. Access to your presence. Access to the version of you that they have grown comfortable exploiting. This is not silent treatment. Silent treatment is emotional manipulation, a punishment designed to make someone feel guilty. This is different. This is strategic absence. This is you recognizing that your presence in someone's life is a privilege they have just demonstrated they do not value, and privileges, once abused, must be revoked. The beauty of this method is its simplicity. It requires no confrontation, no dramatic speeches, no heated arguments where you list everything they have ever done wrong. Those arguments are theater. They are the performance of someone who still believes that if they can just find the right words, the other person will finally understand. But understanding is not the problem. They understand perfectly. They simply do not care enough to change, because so far, not caring has cost them nothing. When you withdraw without explanation, you create mystery, and mystery is the breeding ground for obsession. Suddenly, the person who took you for granted cannot stop thinking about you. They replay your last interaction, searching for clues. They wonder what changed. They reach out, casually at first, testing the waters. And here is where most people fail. They respond too quickly. They accept the shallow apology. They return to normal because the discomfort of the silence is too much to bear. This is the moment that determines everything, because there is a deeper, more dangerous truth we have not touched yet. The person who disrespected you is not your enemy. You are. You are the one who taught them that disrespect is acceptable by accepting it. You are the one who convinced them that your boundaries are suggestions by enforcing none. The disrespect you experience is not happening to you. It is happening because of you. And until you internalize that, until you feel the weight of that responsibility, nothing will change. Machiavelli said, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." But he did not mean the fear of violence or cruelty. He meant the fear of losing you. The fear that you might leave. The fear that you might stop caring. The fear that the door they keep walking through might one day be locked. Most people are loved in a cheap way. They are loved because they are convenient, available, easy. This love evaporates the moment it requires sacrifice. But when someone fears losing you, when they know that you are not desperate for their presence, that you have the strength to walk away and mean it, that fear transforms into respect. And respect, unlike love, is not an emotion. It is a calculation. Think about the people in your life who command your respect. Not the people you like, not the people who are nice to you. The people you actually respect. What do they have in common? They do not seek your approval. They do not bend themselves into shapes that make you comfortable. They have standards, and those standards are non-negotiable. When you fail to meet those standards, they do not lecture you. They do not give you a second chance immediately. They step back. And in that space, you suddenly realize what you are about to lose. This is the mechanism. Disrespect is a test. It is someone asking, without words, how much they can get away with. How much of your dignity can they erode before you finally push back? And every time you respond with words instead of action, with explanations instead of consequences, you fail the test. You reveal that your boundaries are negotiable, that your self-respect is conditioned on their approval, that you need them more than they need you. But there is a problem with this method, and it is the reason most people will never use it. It requires you to be willing to lose people permanently, because when you withdraw, some people will not chase. Some people will let you go without a fight. Some people will replace you easily, will move on as if you never mattered. And this will hurt. This will make you question whether you did the right thing. This will tempt you to reach out, to apologize for setting a boundary, to return to the familiar dysfunction, because loneliness feels worse than disrespect. This is the test within the test. This is where you discover whether you truly value yourself or whether you have simply been performing self. Respect for an audience. Machiavelli understood that leadership requires the ability to endure being misunderstood. When you enforce consequences, people will call you cold, difficult, unforgiving. They will tell you that everyone makes mistakes, that you are overreacting, that you are too sensitive. They will weaponize compassion against you, suggesting that if you truly cared, you would accept being treated poorly. This is psychological manipulation disguised as moral guidance. Because real compassion does not mean accepting abuse. Real compassion means having enough respect for someone to hold them accountable, to believe they are capable of better, and to refuse to enable their worst behavior by pretending it is acceptable. Consider the Stoics. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, wrote in his Meditations that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. He was not talking about positive thinking. He was talking about the recognition that other people's behavior is outside your control, but your response is entirely within it. When someone disrespects you, you cannot control their choice, but you can control whether that choice has consequences. You can control whether you continue to offer your presence, your energy, your time to someone who has demonstrated they do not value it. This is not revenge. Revenge is emotional. This is pragmatic. This is you recognizing that your resources are finite and should not be wasted on people who do not appreciate them. But there is something even more dangerous happening beneath the surface, something we need to examine before we go further. When you allow disrespect, you do not just harm yourself. You harm the person disrespecting you. You rob them of the opportunity to grow. You enable them to move through life believing that they can treat people poorly without consequence. And this belief will eventually destroy them. Because the world is not as forgiving as you are. The world will not explain to them why their behavior is unacceptable. The world will simply shut doors, withdraw opportunities, remove relationships, and they will never understand why. By accepting their disrespect, you are lying to them. You are telling them that this behavior is acceptable when it is not, and that lie will cost them far more than your absence ever could. This is the dark paradox at the heart of Machiavelli's philosophy. Cruelty in the moment can be kindness over time. Refusing to accept disrespect is not just about protecting yourself. It is about forcing the other person to confront the reality that their actions have consequences. It is about giving them the gift of a boundary, even if they do not recognize it as a gift, even if they hate you for it. Because 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when they have lost enough relationships and burned enough bridges, they might finally understand. Or they might not. Either way, it is no longer your responsibility. You see, the method is not complicated. Someone disrespects you. You do not argue. You do not explain. You do not give them the emotional reaction they are subconsciously seeking. You simply become unavailable. Busy when they call, brief when they message, absent when they expect you. You do not announce this. You do not make a show of it. You just quietly recalibrate your investment to match theirs. If they notice, if they ask what is wrong, you do not unload your grievances. You simply say you have been busy, you have been thinking, you have been prioritizing differently. Vague, unsatisfying, true. And then you wait. Most people cannot handle being deprioritized. Their ego cannot process the idea that they are not the center of your world. They will reach out more. They will try to restore the old dynamic. And this is where you must be strong. Because if you return too quickly, if you accept a shallow apology or a promise to change without evidence of actual change, you reset the entire process. You teach them that withdrawal is temporary, that they can disrespect you, wait for the storm to pass, offer minimum effort at reconciliation, and return to business as usual. The consequence must be real. The absence must be felt. The loss must be understood. But here is what most people miss. This is not about making them suffer. This is about making them choose. Every relationship exists on a spectrum of effort. On one end, there is the person who invests more, who cares more, who reaches out more, who accommodates more. On the other end is the person who does less, because they do not have to do more. Disrespect flourishes in this imbalance. When you withdraw, you are not punishing anyone. You are simply rebalancing the equation. You are forcing the other person to match your energy or accept your absence. Some people will rise to the occasion. They will recognize what they are losing and fight to restore it. These are the relationships worth keeping. Some people will do nothing. They will let you go without resistance. These are the relationships you should have ended years ago. Machiavelli would tell you that the greatest danger is not being hated. It is being taken for granted. When people hate you, they think about you constantly. They give you power through their obsession. But when they take you for granted, you are furniture. Background noise. Something that exists but does not matter. And the only way to escape that prison is to disappear from it entirely. Not with rage, not with announcements, just with the quiet, undeniable reality of your absence. There is a story, probably apocryphal, about a Zen master whose student kept complaining about a man in the village who insulted him. Every day the student would return to the monastery furious, recounting the latest offense. Finally, the master asked, "If someone offers you a gift, and you do not accept it, who does the gift belong to?" The student said it belongs to the person offering it. "Exactly," said the master. "When someone offers you disrespect, and you do not accept it, they are left holding it. But if you accept it, if you react, if you let it change your energy, you have taken ownership of something that was never yours to carry." This is the essence of the method. Disrespect is an offering. You do not have to accept it. You do not have to engage with it. You do not have to defend yourself against it. You simply have to recognize it for what it is, a test of your boundaries, and respond with the only language that matters: consequence, not punishment, not revenge, just the natural, logical outcome of someone choosing to devalue what you offer. They lose access to it. And here is the part that will separate those who understand from those who merely agree. This method will make you lonely. It will force you to release people you care about. It will require you to sit in the discomfort of uncertainty, not knowing if someone will return, not knowing if you made the right choice, not knowing if you are being too rigid or finally being strong enough. This discomfort is the price of self-respect. Most people are not willing to pay it. Most people would rather be disrespected and surrounded than respected and alone. And that is their choice, but it cannot be yours. Not anymore. Because every time you accept disrespect, you erode yourself. You teach yourself that you do not matter. You internalize the message that your boundaries are less important than other people's comfort. You become smaller, quieter, more accommodating, more resentful, until one day you wake up and do not recognize the person you have become. The person who apologizes for existing, who shrinks to make others feel bigger, who has confused self-sacrifice with love. Machiavelli's dark method is not dark because it is cruel. It is dark because it reveals the truth that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. You are not owed respect. You are not guaranteed loyalty. You are not entitled to kindness simply because you exist. These things must be earned, and they are earned not through what you give, but through what you refuse to accept. The moment you understand this, the moment you internalize that the most powerful thing you can do is walk away from anyone who does not value your presence, everything changes. So here is what you do starting right now. Identify the person in your life who disrespects you most consistently. Do not lie to yourself about who this is. You know. You have always known, and here is what you do next. Nothing. You do not confront them. You do not send them this video. You do not explain yourself. You simply stop being available. Stop initiating. Stop accommodating. Stop being the one who always reaches out, always forgives, always makes it easy for them to treat you poorly. And then you wait. You wait and you watch. You watch to see if they notice. You watch to see if they care. You watch to see if they are willing to fight for you the way you have always fought for them. Some of them will surprise you. Some of them will show up. Some of them will recognize what they are losing and make real changes. These are the people worth keeping. But most of them will not. Most of them will let you fade into the background without resistance. And this will hurt. This will make you question everything. This will make you want to return to the old patterns, because at least they were familiar. Do not sit in the discomfort. Let it teach you. Let it show you who actually values you and who simply values what you provide. Because the truth Machiavelli understood, the truth the Stoics understood, the truth that every person who commands genuine respect understands, is this: your absence must be more powerful than your presence. If people do not fear losing you, they will never truly value having you. And the only way to create that fear is to be willing to leave, not as a threat, not as manipulation, but as a boundary, as a standard, as a non-negotiable recognition that you will not accept less than you deserve simply because someone is unwilling to give it. This is how you kill disrespect instantly, not with words, not with arguments, not with explanations or confrontations or desperate attempts to make someone see your worth. You kill it with absence. You kill it with consequence. You kill it by being someone who values themselves enough to walk away from anyone who does not. And in that walking away, in that refusal to accept the unacceptable, you become the kind of person who is no longer tested. Because the people around you understand, without being told, that your dignity is not negotiable, that your presence is a privilege, that disrespect is not met with anger, but with something far more terrifying: indifference. So the question is not whether this method works. The question is whether you are strong enough to use it, whether you are willing to lose people in order to find yourself, whether you can sit in the silence and the uncertainty and the loneliness that comes with having standards. Because if you can endure the discomfort of enforcing your boundaries without explanation or apology, you will discover something extraordinary. You will discover that the people who remain are the ones who actually matter, the ones who see your value without being taught, the ones who respect you because they fear losing you, the ones who understand that your silence is not weakness. It is power. And you will finally understand what Machiavelli knew 5 centuries ago, what you should have known all along. You are not being disrespected because you lack power. You are being disrespected because you react like someone who does.